all different art classes at Mallard Creek High School. Art history, ceramics, visual arts, drawing, painting, the whole mix. Since I've been at the McColl Center working, I've been talking with other artists and imagining series of pieces. Working in a series has been something I haven't done in a really long time, and I'm thrilled to have the time to do. I have a thing for repetition and pattern. It's nice and it's calming, and it's a feeling that I like in most artwork that I look at. Nice, calm, quiet, horizontal lines. The horizon line is something that, since I've been at the McColl Center, has kind of been a source of inspiration. The horizon line has a similar simplicity and complexity to it. The textures and the varied line and the depth of that line is what's inspiring the sculptural pieces that I'm working with now. Because I have this amazing space, it has reminded me what it's like to be a student a little bit again. The fears that my own students have in my classroom, I think I have felt them very strongly. It's been a while since I've sat back and looked critically at my work, or have had anybody else look critically at my work. So working here with the other artists, it has helped me look more clearly, more closely at what my students are going through. Teaching art and making art, there's so much overlap. They're very different. They're very different career models. They're very different ways of presenting yourself. But this has helped me see how similar they are. Going back into teaching, I'm gonna have a strength in the career path of the artist that I didn't have before. Not just in the art, but my own endurance and strength as a professional.
Every aspect of what I do is informed by thinking about architecture and various disciplines: design, color theory, color form, composition. Even graphic design gets involved in the way that I think about things. When I'm working in the studio, the things that challenge me or interest me the most are small universes that you build. You set a set of circumstances or parameters and say, all right, well, I'm going to do this experiment, and the possibilities are somewhat endless. I'm going to take a drop of ink and I'm going to let it fall. There's a finite number of ways that this thing might fall, but the actual extraction of myself from that process, it's not me making the mark. There's something out of my control that's actually happening. Lately, I've been trying to start without a given product that I have in mind. It's more of a process-oriented thing where it's like, all right, well, I'm starting this first layer. I don't know what's going to happen there. I might use some water, I might use some ink, so then that lays a really interesting foundation, for instance, and it's all right, well, what's going to go on top of that? I like the idea of having an infinite composition. I wanted to get involved in an intervention in just an urban environment. A neglected space, for instance. I wanted to see what can be done in that situation. So the people at McColl facilitated this relationship with someone that actually had space that I can get involved with. It was a smaller, empty warehouse in the middle of a somewhat industrial neighborhood where that has residential being built. It's an interesting point where there's change happening in that space. I wanted to trap time, but we're seeing actual real things unfold on these tiny little fragments. And you can actually think about moments and say, all right, well, this is a special moment, so I should really understand it as such.
I work in a variety of media, but I am first and foremost conceptually driven. The way that I've been working over the last several years has been going to specific locations that I have some sort of interest in. My interests in these places are related to my overall interest in history. I'm specifically interested in traumatic histories and how that trauma manifests in contemporary society, how it's written across the landscape. Since I've been at the McColl Center in Charlotte, I've been exploring Charlotte's history, specifically those aspects that have been hidden or obscured or erased by the city's efforts to remake itself into this thing they call the New South City. Since 2008, I've been deeply interested in what it means to be in the South today. So many of the southern cities are changing. You know, Atlanta, Birmingham, Charlotte, they're becoming these major cultural capitals. A lot of people from the North are relocating. And so I really wanted to dig more into it, and Charlotte certainly fits within that series. So as part of my residency at the McColl Center, I was also invited to be a visiting artist at UNC Charlotte in their College of Art and Architecture. And I was paired with a senior graphic design class. I really wanted to kind of push them to think more outside of what design actually is. So, you know, I just gave lectures on artists and talked about not only alternative ways of showing the material, but also alternative ways of engaging with the research that they were conducting in order to produce the final pieces. And so in working with students who are not necessarily engaged with that discourse, it's really forced me to think about how to better frame my work and also how to produce work that is more accessible.
To me, the artist's role is to be a visionary, to see things and help other people see things that we might not otherwise see. I choose the materials that I choose to work with, usually because they are things that people don't care about. And I really like the challenge of taking objects that are considered useless or without potential and trying to transform them in such a way that they fulfill some of their potential. So I work a lot with debris, mostly plastic, and that's more or less because I've learned so much about the environmental impacts that this material is having. But I didn't start working with it because of that. Initially, when I started working with plastic, it was really because of its formal qualities, its structural qualities, and the fact that it had been relatively unexplored as a viable art medium. So I thought there might be some potential in experimenting with it. I also like that it's something that's very ubiquitous. Everybody comes into contact with this material in their daily lives. So there's a really intimate quality that it has. To me, my work isn't abstract at all. But most people perceive it that way, and that's fine with me. I really feel like everything is contagious. And if I'm able to be open and honest with my work, I'm hoping that that helps other people become more open and honest. So I'm trying to take this material that nobody has cared for and imbue it with such care and attention that it resonates.